something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware.
My name is Michael Westwood from Gillespie, Illinois, small town, 1,100 people when I was there. And I joined the Air Force because I wanted to fly on an airplane, but they sent me to basic on a train. And I spent 22 and a half years in the Air Force. I started off as an E-nothing and ended up as a captain. And I loved my career. And the only reason I got out is they were going to send me on a remote tour, and I didn't want to be separated from my wife. And so I went to basic training, and I thought I would do something spectacular, and they made me what they call a weapons loader, because you have big arms, strong arms. So I went to school in Denver, went to McConnell, my first base, learned 105s, and worked underneath a staff sergeant named Purnett, who was the best gun plumber in the Air Force on the 20 millimeter cannon, and that was in the nose of the F-105. And lo and behold, I went to Thailand, and so did he. So I worked for him for a year in Thailand, and that was 1968 to 69. My total service time was from December 1966 till May of 2018. Oh, 1989, sorry, 1989. I retired in 1989. But I went over there, and he's the only person I worked for in the Air Force that made you exercise before you started. I thought maybe I was in the Marine Corps, but he wanted us to be strong. So we had the 20 millimeter gun in the F-105, and then the F-4Es came in. And he wanted you strong because he wanted you to be able to do a gun completely by yourself, which is heavy and a lot of safety wiring, a lot of work, and he made us practice. He made us work as enlisted guys learning to be really good tradesmen. And I did that, and then I went TDY to UBON, because the OIC that I worked for at McConnell knew my experience with guns, and he had me help set up the AC-130 gun shop with a guy named Gary Good, who retired as a Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force. And we did that for 2 months, setting up the AC-130 gunships in UBON, Thailand. And I came back from Thailand in June. We spent 13 months. My experience, and we got a special award in Thailand for being the first unit in combat ever in the Air Force to not have a malfunction in 30 days in their sorties. And we all got accommodation medals, which allowed me to make a staff sergeant under 4 years in the service, which was pretty phenomenal. And so I earned the name Baby Sergeant at that point, because I had guys working for me that had been in a lower rank and been in the service for 10 years and stuff. And after that, I worked with nuclear weapons in England, and then I came back and I went to NCO Leadership School, and my peers selected me as to be the most successful in class. And the honor was, I was presented the award by POW Robbie Reisner, who encouraged me to get a commission, which I ultimately did. And in the process, I met my spouse in class, and she's also retired from the Air Force after 22 and a half years. So it was quite an exciting thing, and I went back into being munitions officer and then aircraft maintenance officer. And then the thing that happened was we went on Reforger to Germany, and in the process leaving, I bought a prisoner of war band who was actually a person that was in the Iranian embassy when they captured it, and they had them all. So we get back, and I get an assignment I took over the guy's desk that I had the bracelet for. I took his job, and I happened to meet him and give him my bracelet. And that's probably an exciting moment for me. And other than that, the career was pretty normal. The last 9 years of my service, I helped sell arms to foreign governments and worked on that and traveled all over. And that's my story, you know.
How much pride do you take knowing these guys that are flying from Thailand into Vietnam into combat, that you're responsible really for so much of their mission?
Well, I have great pride, and there's especially one, a retired lieutenant colonel named John Revac, who was one of the people who was flying, gosh, the name slips my mind. They were flying the aircraft that jammed, and many of them didn't come back. I had a high failure rate, and I was there when he got his 100 missions to go, and he's featured in a film done by the History Channel, and there's a clip of him the tradition was when they got 100 missions, they went around the base and everybody threw water on them, and then they went to the officers club and they threw them in a pool. Well, I was the lifeguard at the pool, and there's a picture of me. I'm watching this thing, and I said to my wife, I stopped it. My wife got home, and I said, I think that's me. And she said, oh yeah, that's just how you stand. And there I was. And he lives out there at the Air Force Village, a great guy. And we've had many laughs together and that. So I take a tremendous amount of pride knowing that loading those cannons and loading that 20 millimeter ammo and fixing those guns saved people's lives, saved our Air Force lives. And because that was a big defense weapon. And even greater pride knowing that I had an opportunity to touch the people that had the AC-130s, that flew the AC-130s, because if you talk to people on the ground in the Army and they talk about that 30 millimeter cannon and that 20 millimeter, that's just a lifesaver when they were under fire, and that was really important to them. So I've had the opportunity to meet many POWs from both World War II and the Korean War and Vietnam, and I've always had a little bit of a fascination for these people and what they endured, and I'm so thankful that I got to see them, because they've done so much for our country, and you know, a bit of an unsung hero, and that. So that's my appreciation for all those folks.